Hello, good morning. Our headlines today: stay patient and stay at home. England's Deputy Chief Medical Officer urges millions of people who've been vaccinated for Covid-19 not to break the rules.
It comes as new figures show more than 4,000 people are now on a ventilator. That's the highest number since the pandemic began.
Boris Johnson becomes the first European leader to take a phone call from Joe Biden since he became US President.
Rescued, the first of a group of Chinese miners trapped underground for 2 weeks is brought to the surface.
Search teams in China have rescued the first of a group of gold miners who've been trapped underground for 2 weeks. More than 20 workers were cut off after an explosion at the mine in the Shandong province in the northeast of the country. Rescuers drilled small holes to supply food and medicine to the 11 men that they've made contact with. One of them sadly has since died. One of the world's most wanted fugitives, said to be responsible for up to 70% of narcotics entering Australia, has been arrested in the Netherlands. It's Tzu Lope, who's the leader of an Asian drug ring known as the Company. He was detained at Schiphol Airport on Friday. He was tracked by the Australian Federal Police for more than a decade.
Should we take a look at some of the front pages today then? Sunday Telegraph, first of all, leading with the comments by the Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Professor Jonathan Van Tam, warning people who have had the vaccine not to start breaking the lockdown rules. There's a lot of I've had my vaccine now, thank God I can see my children or grandchildren again soon, but obviously that will only happen in time.
The Mail on Sunday reports that head teachers in what it calls Britain's top schools have unveiled a plan to vaccinate the country's entire teaching staff over the February half-term, and the paper urges the Prime Minister to back the plan.
Sunday Times has done a special investigating the State of the Union. They've got a frayed Union flag on their front page and a headline, "Our disunited kingdom." It suggests that the majority of Scottish voters would back independence if there was another referendum. That's according to some new research they've done at the paper.
One of the trending stories on Twitter overnight is the news that Sir Kenneth Branagh will play the Prime Minister Boris Johnson in a 5-part Sky drama which charts the government's response to the pandemic during its first wave. I think that's on one of the front of one of the papers as well.
Just of interest to any parents, carers listening this morning, we mentioned the fact that the Daily Mail is kind of backing this campaign to get teachers vaccinated. Well, the front page of the Sunday Times this morning is suggesting that children will not go back to school next month, which I think everyone has kind of got their heads around. It won't happen after February half-term, as some predicted, or hoped at least, if not predicted. But even Easter is not a certainty. So they are saying it's likely, or maybe some will be back after Easter, but possibly even brace yourselves that schools will be closed to some pupils right up until May. All of this, of course, is so dependent on so many variables.
Which seem to change by the
week. And I prefer to try and be optimistic and hope that it's a bit sooner than that. But we have to sort of see, given where we are at the moment with this current pandemic, the current wave of the pandemic, it's very much up in the air.
The importance of hand washing is something we all know, of course, in terms of reducing the spread of Covid-19. According to this story in the paper this morning, eczema is on the rise after a year of hand washing. Obviously, so many people washing their hands so frequently, which is exactly what we've been asked to do. Try and straighten it out, there we go. That dries out the natural oils in your hands and starts to make them crack. And there's something called coronavirus hand, I think I read in this story. Lockdown hands, that's it, lockdown hands, after a year of washing and applying alcohol gels to avoid the spread of coronavirus.
I don't know how strict you are on the food in your fridge and the sell-by date or the use-by date.
As long as it doesn't smell off, it gets eaten.
Well, exactly. And they're saying, once again, and this is an effort to try and cut waste, food waste, which again is a huge issue, isn't it, in terms of trying to create more sort of sustainable homes. But effectively they're saying sniff it and taste it and work out if it's off. It's not going to kill you.
Oh, so maybe I'm doing the right thing after all.
It's the kind of thing that my dad, unless it's walking out of the fridge, he'll eat it. Scrape the mould off and you're away.
There you go. This is in the Mail, I think, Mail on Sunday. Just 1 in 4 of us keeping New Year's resolutions as lockdown takes its toll. I must admit, I'm not very good at New Year's resolutions anyway. I don't generally tend to make them because I know I won't keep them, but sticking to New Year's resolutions is difficult at the best of times, but in lockdown it's become increasingly tough, and therefore only 1 in 4 of us has actually stuck to them this year.
Yeah, I'm directing all my efforts to get fitter and healthier for February.
Yeah,
I just decided I had to ease my way into 2021.
That's good.
And go slightly easy on myself. But yes, it's going to attempt to be a dry February. Attempt, I say.